A championship tournament. Millions of dollars on the line, thousands of eyes watching. One moment that could change everything. Tommy Fleetwood stands over his ball, his heart pounding in his chest. The BMW Championship in Maryland, one of the most prestigious tournaments in professional golf. Every stroke matters. Every inch counts. He takes his shot, and the ball rolls toward the hole with perfect precision. The crowd holds its breath. It's tracking beautifully. This could be the birdie he desperately needs. But then disaster. The ball stops. Right there, on the lip of the cup. Centimeters away from glory, you can see it in Fleetwood's face, that sinking feeling every golfer knows too well. So close, yet so far. The spectators groan. His shoulders drop slightly. A par instead of a birdie. In a tournament this tight, that's the difference between climbing the leaderboard and fading into obscurity. That's the difference between nearly $1 million and going home with significantly less. 3 seconds pass. For seconds. The ball just sits there, mocking him. Mocking everyone who believed in that shot. Physics has spoken. Gravity has made its decision. The moment is over. Except it isn't. Because what happens next defies everything you think you know about golf, about sports, about probability itself. Something so small, so seemingly insignificant, enters the frame. Something that weighs less than a gram. Something that nobody, and I mean nobody, could have predicted would change the entire course of this tournament. The ball starts moving again. The crowd erupts, and Tommy Fleetwood stands there absolutely frozen in disbelief, watching as nature itself decides to intervene in one of the most bizarre moments in professional golf history. What caused it? The answer will blow your mind. If you want to see more incredible, unbelievable sports moments like this, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next on this channel. The date was August 17th, 2025. The BMW Championship was in full swing at Castle Pines Golf Club in Castle Rock, Colorado. This wasn't just any tournament. This was the second playoff event of the PGA Tour season, where only the top 70 players in the FedEx Cup standings even qualified to compete. The pressure was immense. The stakes were astronomical. And Tommy Fleetwood, the 34-year-old British golf star, was fighting tooth and nail to make his mark. Fleetwood had been having a solid tournament, but he needed something special. He needed those crucial birdies that separate the champions from the contenders. On the par 4 second hole during the final round, he lined up what appeared to be a makeable putt. Nothing too dramatic, just another shot in a long day of golf. He struck the ball cleanly, and it began its journey toward the cup. Everything about the shot looked good. The speed was right. The line was perfect. As the ball approached the hole, you could almost feel the entire gallery leaning forward in anticipation. This was going in. This had to go in. The ball reached the cup and began its descent, and then physics pulled a cruel trick. It caught the edge. It slowed down. And instead of dropping into that beautiful sound of success, it stopped dead on the lip of the hole. Golfers call this lipping out, and it's one of the most frustrating experiences in the sport. You've done everything right. You've read the green correctly. You've executed the stroke perfectly. But the golf gods have other plans. Fleetwood could only watch as his ball sat there, perched precariously on the edge, refusing to fall despite being 99% of the way home. The crowd groaned in sympathy. That collective sound that sports fans make when they witness potential greatness, denied at the last possible second. Fleetwood himself began to process what had just happened. A par instead of a birdie. Points left on the course. Money potentially lost. In professional golf, especially at this elite level, these moments matter. They haunt you. They're the difference between making history and being a footnote. But here's where our story takes. It's an absolutely incredible turn. Because 3, maybe 4 seconds after the ball stopped, something extraordinary happened. The ball, which had been completely stationary, suddenly twitched. It moved. It rolled forward ever so slightly, and before anyone could process what they were seeing, it dropped into the hole. The gallery exploded into cheers. Fleetwood stood there with his mouth open, his club hanging loosely in his hands, utterly stunned by what had just occurred. What could possibly cause a stationary golf ball to spontaneously start moving again? Was it a gust of wind? Was there some imperceptible slope that finally took effect? Did the universe itself decide to intervene? The answer came when someone reviewed the footage in slow motion. There, clear as day, was the culprit, a tiny fly. Yes, a fly. One of nature's most common, most overlooked creatures had just altered the course of a professional golf tournament. The replay showed the insect flying directly over the ball at precisely the right moment. And whether through actual physical contact or just the minute air disturbance from its wings, it provided just enough force to tip the ball over the edge. We're talking about an amount of energy so small, it's almost immeasurable. Yet it was exactly what was needed to convert that. Heartbreaking lipped out into a successful birdie. The golf world went absolutely wild. Social media exploded with reactions. Commentators couldn't believe what they'd witnessed. Seasoned professionals who'd seen everything the sport had to offer were left shaking their heads in amazement. Some people joked that Fleetwood had hired the fly as a caddy. Others wondered about the statistical probability of such an event. Sports scientists and physicists chimed in, debating whether the fly actually made physical contact or if the air displacement alone could have been sufficient. Think about the precision required here. The ball had to be balanced at exactly the right point where the tiniest disturbance would tip it over. The fly had to approach from exactly the right angle at exactly the right speed. The timing had to be perfect down to fractions of a second. If the fly had arrived 5 seconds earlier, the ball would still have been rolling and the insect's contribution would have been meaningless. 5 seconds later, and the moment would have passed entirely. With Fleetwood marking his par and moving on to the next hole, this wasn't just lucky. This was cosmically, astronomically, almost impossibly lucky. Professional golfers spend their entire careers perfecting their craft, studying the subtlest elements of physics and biomechanics, investing countless hours in practice to control every variable they possibly can. And yet here was Tommy Fleetwood, receiving assistance from a creature that weighs approximately 10 milligrams and has a brain smaller than a pinhead. The birdie had real consequences. In professional golf, every single stroke matters. Tournaments are won and lost by single shots. This one birdie helped Fleetwood climb up the leaderboard to finish in 4th place overall. His prize money for that finish? $910,000. Nearly $1 million influenced by a fly. Let that sink in for a moment. A tiny insect, going about its daily business of being a fly, inadvertently helped a professional athlete earn close to $1 million. Now, we have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, or rather, the fly on the green. Did the insect actually touch the ball? The rules of golf are incredibly strict about outside influences. If a ball is moved by an outside agency, which would include insects, the ball must be replaced to its original position. However, there's a crucial element here. The ball was never completely at rest in a way that would have ended play. It was balanced on the lip of the cup in an unstable position. And the argument can be made that it was going to fall eventually due to natural forces. More importantly, in situations where it's unclear whether an outside agency affected the ball, and especially in cases where the ball enters the hole, the benefit of doubt goes to the player. Golf operates heavily on honor and integrity, but it also recognizes that not every minute detail can be adjudicated, especially when it comes to forces as small as a fly's influence on a balanced ball. The birdie stood. The score counted. Fleetwood moved on with one of the most remarkable par-stern birdies in professional golf history. This incident raises fascinating questions about luck, skill, and the nature of competitive sports. We like to think that professional athletics are pure meritocracies, where the best player on the day wins through superior ability, preparation, and mental fortitude. And for the most part, that's true. But every now and then, the universe reminds us that chaos and randomness still have a role to play, that no amount of skill can completely eliminate the influence of chance. Some might argue this diminishes the achievement, that Fleetwood didn't earn that birdie in the traditional sense. But consider this. He still had to hit a shot good enough to reach the cup. He still had to read the green correctly, execute his stroke properly, and deliver the ball to within millimeters of the hole. The fly didn't create success from nothing. It merely provided the final, tiny push that physics had momentarily withheld. In a sense, Fleetwood had done everything right, and fortune simply decided to acknowledge that fact. The incident also highlights the incredible attention to detail in modern sports broadcasting and analysis. Decades ago, this moment would have been chalked up as simply a late-breaking ball, a delayed drop that happened sometimes on fast greens. The cause would have remained a mystery, discussed maybe in hushed tones among the players but never definitively understood. Today, with high-definition cameras capturing every angle at high frame rates, we can identify the exact moment a fly's wings altered the trajectory of a golf ball. We can watch it happen over and over, analyzing it frame by frame, understanding precisely what occurred. What makes this story even more compelling is the context of Tommy Fleetwood's career. He's been a consistently excellent golfer, ranked highly in the world, with multiple victories on the European Tour and strong performances in major championships. But like many great players, he's experienced his share of near misses and what-ifs. This moment of bizarre good fortune came to a player who'd certainly experienced his share of bad breaks over the years. In that sense, it feels like a small cosmic rebalancing, the golf gods repaying a debt. The aftermath of the incident was equally entertaining. Fleetwood himself seemed genuinely bewildered by what had happened. In post-round interviews, he maintained the good humor and sportsmanship that characterizes the best of professional golf. He acknowledged the absurdity of the situation, while also recognizing that sometimes you need a bit of luck to succeed in this game. Other players and commentators joined in, sharing their own stories of bizarre breaks and unlikely events they'd witnessed over the years. Social media users had a field day creating memes and jokes. The fly was given various nicknames, credited as Fleetwood's secret weapon, and photoshopped into historical sporting moments. Some enterprising individuals even created mock endorsement deals, imagining the fly signing sponsorship contracts and appearing in commercials. It was the kind of lighthearted, joyful viral moment that sports can provide when something truly unexpected and harmless occurs. From a scientific perspective, the incident offers an interesting case study in chaos theory and the butterfly effect. The idea that small causes can have large effects is well established in physics and mathematics, but we rarely see it demonstrated so clearly and dramatically in real-world situations. A creature weighing next to nothing, creating an air disturbance measured in fractions of a Newton, ultimately contributing to an outcome worth nearly $1 million. It's the kind of thing that makes you reconsider the interconnectedness of all events. The way tiny actions ripple through systems in unpredictable ways. It also reminds us why we love sports in the first place. Yes, we appreciate athletic excellence and competitive drama, but we also crave those moments of sheer unpredictability, the events that nobody could have scripted or predicted. We want to witness the impossible, the improbable, the absolutely bizarre. These are the stories we tell and retell, the moments that become legend. Tommy Fleetwood's fly-assisted birdie now joins the pantheon of sport's strangest moments. Alongside balls that bounced off birds, shots that took impossible deflections, and victories snatched from the jaws of defeat through the most unlikely circumstances. What are the odds of this happening again? Astronomically low. Golf courses have insects, certainly. But for one to arrive at precisely the right microsecond, to affect a ball balanced in precisely the right way, requires a convergence of circumstances that borders on miraculous. Fleetwood could play golf for another 50 years and never experience anything remotely similar. The same is true for everyone who plays the game. This was a once-in-a-lifetime event, possibly a once-in-a-history-of-golf event. The BMW Championship continued after this remarkable moment, with other players making their own runs at victory, creating their own memorable shots and dramatic finishes. But for many viewers and attendees, this was the moment they would remember. Not the eventual winner's final putt, not the closest to the pin competition, but the time nature itself decided to play a round of golf. It's worth noting that this incident was entirely legal under the rules of golf. There's no provision requiring players to account for insect interference on balanced balls, nor should there be. Golf is played outdoors, in the natural environment. Accepting the elements as part of the game has always been fundamental to the sport. Wind affects shots. Rain changes conditions. Temperature influences ball flight. Why shouldn't insects occasionally play a role as well? The game has always been a conversation between the player and nature, and this was simply nature having an unusually direct say in the outcome. Tommy Fleetwood's fourth-place finish, assisted by his unlikely ally, meant he advanced further in the FedEx Cup playoffs, ultimately affecting his season-long standings and earnings. That single birdie, influenced by that single fly, had cascading effects throughout the rest of his tournament and beyond. It's a perfect example of how seemingly minor moments can shape entire careers. How the difference between success and failure can be measured in millimeters and milligrams. As we reflect on this incredible moment, it's also a reminder to appreciate the unexpected joys that life throws our way. Fleetwood could have been frustrated by the lip out, could have let that near miss affect his mental game for the rest of the round. Instead, he got to experience a moment of pure, inexplicable fortune. It's the kind of thing that makes you laugh and shake your head and remember why you fell in love with the game in the first place. Sports at their best provide these moments of transcendence, where the ordinary rules seem to bend and anything feels possible. The story of Tommy Fleetwood and the fly will endure. It will be told in clubhouses and press rooms, shared on highlight reels and compilation videos for years to come. It will serve as evidence that golf, for all its precision and calculation, still has room for magic. That sometimes the universe has a sense of humor. And occasionally, that humor manifests in the form of a tiny insect deciding to become the world's smallest caddy. In the end, what makes this story so perfect is its harmlessness. Nobody was hurt. No rules were broken. No competitor was unfairly disadvantaged. It was just a moment of pure, delightful absurdity in a sport that can sometimes take itself too seriously. Tommy Fleetwood got his birdie. The fly went on to do whatever flies do. And golf fans everywhere got a story that will bring smiles for generations. And really, what more could you ask for from a single shot in a single tournament on a single day? The next time you're on a golf course and a fly buzzes past, you might look at it a little differently. You might wonder if it's about to make history. If it's positioned to alter the outcome of your round in some tiny but meaningful way, probably not. Almost certainly not. But then again, Tommy Fleetwood probably wasn't expecting divine intervention from the insect kingdom either. And that's the beauty of golf, and sports, and life itself. Sometimes the most incredible moments come from the most unexpected sources. All we can do is watch, amazed as the impossible becomes reality right before our eyes.